So more and more people are starting to wake up to the fact that they've been duped by Donald Trump. They see him for the con artist and the grifter that he truly is. And to anyone out there who's been supporting him since 2016 and you're starting to see through it, but you're kind of ashamed to admit that you've been duped, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with admitting that you got conned or got played by some grifter. I myself was conned one time by a charismatic preacher. I really believed at one point that he was a man of God and a good person. I had my own family members try to warn me as to what kind of person he really was, but I listened to him anyway and I fell for it. And yeah, when I came out and admitted that I got conned, admitted I got played, I had to eat crow with some people. There was some people that said, yeah, we tried to tell you. But I can tell you as somebody who was conned by someone like that and saw through it, once you get on the other side and once you get away from it and once you're able to look back at it in hindsight, you will grow and you'll be a much better person because you recognize it and because you was willing to admit that you got duped. Now, this next guy I'm going to show you some clips of is a guy by the name of Chris Nelson. A while back, he was on the Midas Touch Network. This guy was a Donald Trump supporter. He considered himself ultra MAGA. He's back again being interviewed by Ben Meiselas, and this time Ben asks him about how that Donald Trump and Trump supporters mocked Hunter Biden and his addiction. I'm going to show you a clip here of Donald Trump mocking Hunter and Joe Biden, and then you're going to see Chris Nelson's reaction to it. Roll the clips.
By the way, where's Hunter? Where is Hunter? Remember? Where's Hunter? Will there ever be a time when Joe Biden says, this thing with Hunter just isn't working out well? I'm starting to get a little angry at Hunter. Or when Hunter comes to him and says, Dad, we have a problem. What? What is it, son? Another one? Oh, son, you're a disaster, son. Son, you're a disaster. Dad, we have a problem. I left my laptop at the repair shop. And Joe looks at him and says, what's on it, son? What's on it? And Hunter looks back and he says, every single crime that you've ever committed, Dad.
This was about the time that I started to kind of go like, I think at that point Trump had lost me. But people were really mad that the Hunter Biden laptop story, that it was taken down off Twitter because the election was going on and stuff. But then and that was wrong. But then it turns into this thing where we're just punching down on this guy and just attacking him over and over again. And what are we attacking him for exactly? Well, I mean, he did some embarrassing things, and he's an addict. And I think he's actually answering for some of that stuff too, legally. But because I was only tuned into places like Fox News and other places that were only telling me what I wanted to hear about this, I didn't get the whole other side of the story. I didn't get the side of the story that Hunter Biden has actually been sober for a number of years. It wasn't until I finally started listening, I think it was Midas Touch actually, that I started to see clips that Fox News and other places weren't showing. And it was like, and it was Hunter talking about his struggle with addiction. He lost his brother. And come on, can we all say that Beau Biden is a hero? I can disagree with every single one of Biden's policies, which I disagree with 90% of them. I supported Ron DeSantis, who I still think Ron DeSantis is great, and he's done so much with fighting the fentanyl. But can we at least just as human beings admit that Beau Biden was a hero and that he went to Iraq and came home and caught a disease from it and tragically died from it, and then that Hunter Biden actually this fueled his addiction and is wanting to escape? Can we at least look at that? But no, we're not looking at this compassionately anymore. We're not looking at this in terms of election interference or anything like that anymore. We're looking at this in terms of let's mock the guy. Let's hit him while he's down. Well, somebody that like myself who is in recovery, actually, I just started to be really disgusted by that. And that's just I just don't see how anybody can get up and clap for that kind of thing.
Well, first of all, I would just like to applaud Chris for being in recovery. And second of all, I would like to applaud him for realizing that they were punching down. You know, I'm a recovering addict myself, and I've talked a lot about it in the past. And I've talked about how that when they demonized and mocked Hunter's addiction, it was very triggering for me. It was something that just really struck a nerve in me. And I appreciate the fact that it could strike the same nerve in someone who disagreed with Joe Biden's politics, because I know a lot of people probably looked over at me and said, well, yeah, of course Brando's mad about it because he supports Joe Biden anyway, so yeah, of course he's upset. But that just goes to show you that when you're a recovering addict, politics really doesn't have anything to do with it. It really doesn't. When you hit that darkest moment in your life, when you slam right straight into that wall, am I a Democrat or am I a Republican? You're not even thinking about that. You're not thinking about where you fall on the political spectrum. You're not thinking about where you fall on political issues. You're just thinking about surviving, and you're thinking about trying to pull yourself together. That's the only thing going through your head. And so it was good to see someone who probably would disagree with me totally on politics, but can agree that punching down on someone battling addiction and someone in recovery is just a pathetic thing to do. And we're going to get back here to another clip of Chris here where he's talking about Joe Biden as a father. This is really good. Take a look at this.
But, you know, going back to Joe Biden as a father, I really expected that that when the salacious details of the Hunter Biden laptop came out, I thought that you were not going to see Hunter again. I thought Joe was just going to distance himself, because I thought maybe it was a little bit like Trump, because that's pretty much what Trump would do to somebody. He'll throw anybody under the bus, even his most loyal supporters. But you didn't see that, and people were going, "Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter?" Well, guess where we saw Hunter? We saw him right there walking next to Joe Biden, and I can disagree so much, which I do on almost every one of Biden's policies. But there he was as a father walking next to his son, even after all that embarrassing stuff came out. And it almost brought a tear to my eye when I saw this. And he said, you know, I'm standing by my son. And when I see him with his son like that, that's what somebody needs. Because, you know, I mean, yes, he's the son of the president. Yes, he's probably got a nice financial situation and things like that. But if somebody that's struggling with addiction, to have your family shun you or something like that, that can send you back to a dark place. But I didn't see that with President Biden. I saw him, even though in the face of public scrutiny, because all the embarrassing stuff on that laptop, yeah, I get it. But in the face of that public scrutiny, at a time where it would have been more politically expedient for him to toss his son under the bus and just put him away somewhere, he was there standing by his son at political expense. And I give him a lot of credit for that.
You know, you would expect Joe Biden in that scenario to try to distance himself from Hunter and distance himself from the whole thing to save his political career, but instead he stood by his son. You know, Donald Trump has thrown everybody under the bus, and that's what most people expect a politician to do. Joe Biden did the exact opposite. And again, as somebody who's been in that dark place, that's one of the things that just made me like Joe Biden even more. In their attempt to smear him, I couldn't believe, and still can't to this day, I can't wrap my head around the fact that they used a guy talking to his son in rehab as a smear tactic. How is that a smear tactic on anyone? I disagree with Donald Trump, and I'll be brutally honest with you, I despise the guy. But if I heard a video or audio of him comforting one of his sons in rehab, you would not hear me sit and mock those two for that. There's no way that I would go there, because I would say, you know what? I know what a dark place is that in. I can't stand these people. I hate their damn guts, to be honest with you. But I'm not going to go there, because if you've ever been there, then you wouldn't go there. That tells me Donald Trump has never actually been there. And to the ones who have been there and go along with it anyway, I don't know how many words I could get away with saying here on YouTube to describe just how low down I think you truly are, because that's bottom of the barrel shit. If you're punching down on drug addicts, especially if you're someone who's lived through it and you're still punching down, yeah, I have nothing for you. But there's another clip here I want to show you, one more of Chris Nelson, where they're talking about the conspiracy theories that Don Jr. spread about Nancy Pelosi's husband. And I'm so glad, again, that Chris began to see through all this. Take a look.
Which this case went before a jury. This case, there was a trial that was actually held here. There was an outcome. There was a conviction. The process took place, and Don Jr. is posting photographs of hammers and underwear and saying the internet remains undefeated. Also, if you switch out the hammer for a leather-fed boa, you could be Hunter Biden in an instant. And it's like, we're the United States of America. We're so much better than that. And you and I can disagree. We're going to do it respectfully. And I just think we're so much better than that, though, Chris.
Well, unfortunately, Ben, this is what the internet eats up today. And there's a lot of stuff that's funny and a lot of things that you can make fun of. That is really funny, but what people and especially within Maga think is funny now are things like, oh well, we all know Michelle Obama's a man, and then I'm just kind of like, what? Like, no, she's not. Like, why is that funny? But you see so many people just laughing, and they play to the lowest common denominator, and it's really like you don't need any basis in fact. All you need is a basis in we've got some conjecture. People put something out there, and we all know that the problem with Twitter now is that the more the things that are made up, the things that are complete BS, are the things that float to the top now, and it doesn't have to be backed up in fact. Like things that you would get sued if you printed in a publication, you can just put it up on Twitter. It'll go viral. Yeah, it'll get the community note, but it won't really, it doesn't really matter. It gets out by then. So people start to believe that that something was going on there between this guy and Nancy Pelosi's husband. It would be nice if we got a little more of an explanation of what went on with that. But it was, I mean, who wants to mock a guy that gets attacked by a hammer? I mean, that was just horrible. And these are a lot of places where, and by the way, you never saw Ron DeSantis engage in that kind of thing. That's what I liked about him is this return to normalcy you talk about. Let's just be normal. We can disagree with each other and be normal. And but this kind of stuff, it's mainly like frat boy type stuff, and they really used it against Ron DeSantis. I mean, they were making up MAGA paid influencers were making up rape memes with Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis's wife, and putting those out and attacking DeSantis that way. And for people at this point, after all that, after the way that they behaved, to come around and then say, oh, okay, well, he did all that, but we need to back Trump right now. We need to get behind Trump because we need to defeat Biden so much. You're telling me you're willing to get behind a guy that did all that stuff and stoop to those levels? Excuse me, but no, my moral center will not allow me to do that. So if it does mean 4 more years of Biden, then so be it. We had a candidate that didn't do this kind of stuff and is the most successful Republican we've ever seen. And the Republican Party not only opposed him, but actively worked to destroy him. So we're left with what we got right now.
You know what? He's right. They are appealing to the lowest common denominator, and they're just doing juvenile bullshit and trying to dumb everybody down, and it's not helping anything because we have so many serious issues at hand that we need to be working on, and we're trying to have the debates on how to fix things. And they're over here just spreading these conspiracy theories, being juvenile, demonizing people in recovery. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I know a lot of people out there would say, well, Brando's just talking politics these days, but I want you to understand one thing about me. When I'm talking about Donald Trump, in my mind, it's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's not about progressive versus conservative. That's not where my mind is. It is about democracy and freedom versus a potential dictator. And that's what I'm trying to talk about. It's not about left-wing versus right-wing to me when it comes to our democracy. I want to be sure that we all live to vote another day after this next election. I want there to be more elections. And I don't want someone who says he wants to be dictator on day one. That's not political to me. That should never be political. That's the one thing we should always be able to agree on is that we want a democracy. I don't care if you vote Republican. I don't care if you disagree with me. Vote Republican, disagree with me all day long. but let's agree that we should have a democracy. And let's both be big enough that if our side loses, we take it on the chin, we go back to the drawing board, and we figure out how we can resonate with people better the next time. That's how it's always been. It's how it's always should be. You win some, you lose some. For the last 4 years, Joe Biden's entire presidency has been tarnished by this bullshit of, oh, it was rigged. I'm so sick of that. Joe Biden has been an effective president. He's done a whole lot of good for this country. And we've had to sit back and listen to a sore loser for the last 4 years just completely bastardize our entire system of government and completely make a mockery out of our courts, make a mockery out of our elections. We should be able to agree that that's bullshit. And that's not about left wing versus right wing. I know that me and Chris would disagree a whole lot on politics. We would have a different way of going about it. But I know that we would agree that we both want democracy to stay in place. And I know we would both agree that punching down and demonizing people that are in recovery is one of the lowest things you can do. And recovery is not about Republican versus Democrat. It's not. And to the ones out there that wants to say that I'm talking politics, listen, if you are one of the ones that demonized, if you're one of the ones that demonized Hunter Biden and his drug addiction, you're the ones that played politics. You're the ones that took a very serious issue and you played politics with it. And when you did, you don't realize the damage that you've done to people out there who are in recovery, trying to do better every day. So don't sit here and point over at us and say, you guys are all about politics. No, when you made that political, you crossed a line that is unforgivable in my mind.